take a rip off of what Bob had. I have a few notes here to share with you too. One of the things we talked about last month was, over the last few months, we're talking about how to build your site in what's called a development environment, which is usually offline. We'll get into it. It's not your actual live website. How to get that up and running locally on your computer, then how to migrate that over to a live website. And the continuation of that conversation was, okay, well now, what do I pick? Like, how do I find themes? There's literally, as Bob showed us, thousands if not millions of different themes out there. Most of the time, as Tim was saying, you want to go to WordPress.org to find your themes. And I don't want to bore anybody with we're going through WordPress.org, but WordPress.org is the hosted version, the self-hosted version of WordPress that I think most people run. What that means is with self-hosted means you have control of the software. You can do pretty much whatever you see fit, whatever you want. And you're not limited by any sort of default theme or plugins, right? If you go to WordPress.com, you set up an account, which is great. I encourage you to try it out, especially if you're new. You're limited. They give you a bucket to pick from, and that's a small bucket compared to WordPress.org, which has quite literally every other plugin I've heard. But when you go out here and you're looking at themes and plugins, either one are pretty much organized in a very similar fashion. One of the great things about this is that each one of the themes will have a separate page. I'm going to pick one here, right? I'm going to pick for one called responsive. And each one will tell you a little bit about that particular theme or plugin. Once again, these things are interchangeable buttons with themes. So it'll tell you its name, it'll tell you who it was created by. It might be a person, it might be 4 people from all over the world. It might be a company. It might be, in this case, it's a company called Cyberchips, which sounds awesome. It'll give you some information. You can check things when you're trying to determine is this a legitimate theme or legitimate plugin. Is this something that's going to give me more opportunity to do stuff with WordPress, or is it going to cause me headaches down the road? Sorry about that elephant's upstairs.
Laser tag on.
There's some of that. We screen next, you know, like yeah. But the great thing about WordPress.org is that it has some of the community features built in, and things like you can look at a theme at a glance and see what's the rating of that particular theme. If a theme is rated low, there's probably a reason it's rated low. If a theme doesn't have a large number of downloads, it either is very, very new, or it's just not well received. It hasn't caught the attention of many people. Doesn't mean it's bad necessarily, but once again, with something like with open source software like WordPress, you're really leveraging that community aspect of things to get help. If you find a theme or plugin has lots of users, it's going to be easier to get documentation and help about that particular plugin. It also has this one's a bad example. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I just remembered. This is a bad example, but sometimes they also often have. Oh, they do. I'm sorry, I was missing it. They also have support forms built in here too. So most theme and plugin providers will give you a place to go ask your questions directly right there. Looking at this theme, or maybe you've already downloaded it, you're playing with it, and it's not quite doing what you wanted to do, or throwing an error message, or whatever it might be. There's some kind of built-in help here, links to them you can touch with. Most people are pretty responsive when it comes to getting help with most of the plugins and things that are out there. Plugins also provide you with some additional information. Once again, I'm going to pick one at random over here. Black Studio Tiny MC widget. Same thing, tells you how many times it's been downloaded, gives you some ratings, tells you who the authors are, but it also gives you this compatibility matrix down here at the bottom. I don't know if you all can see it. Whoa, so it gives you this little compatibility matrix, which allows you to see what version of WordPress you're running, what version of the plugin, and the community will help provide this data. Once again, more popular plugins have more data. It's a little more informative. This one being a bad example. It says 0 people say it works and 0 people say it's broken. Let me go back to the page. I would actually couple of words. Let's go to like Jetpack. It's a really big one. Okay, so here you go. So WordPress, most recent version of WordPress 3.91, most recent version of the plugin, it's green. 13 people say it works, 2 people say it's broken. So you kind of go, okay, I can update in relative comfort. I'm not, the internet's not going to blow up when I upgrade this. Obviously, you pick different combinations. Like if I went back and picked, an older version, they probably doesn't have enough data because most people, this is a pro tip here, most people keep their WordPress sites up to date in the most recent version, which I encourage you all to do. So once again, using some of this information with your environment will help you find themes and find plugins that hopefully will match what you're
Do most people keep plugins up to date with and compatible with the current WordPress version?
Yes, I am of, so this is one of the sort of philosophy sort of things. Some people are brazen and they love to be bleeding edge, and as soon as WordPress tells them to update their plugin, they click the big go button and they update. There are those people out there, I'm not one of them. I am the kind of person where I go, okay, there's a new update, that's great, I'm gonna wait a week or two, and I'm gonna make sure that that plugin's been updated to the newest version of WordPress, and then I'm gonna check the compatibility matrix to see what people are saying about it, and then I'm gonna make it up here in dev, and then I'm gonna move it to production. So I'm a little more, okay, that's
I was meaning more the issue of if I build a site, you relying on a plugin, WordPress updates, and the person who never updates that plugin, am I then kind of stuck?
Yes, you could be, which is once again where the documentation on WordPress.org comes into play, is if you looking at a plugin and is popular, has many downloads, it's rated well, the stars, it seems to be compatible with the most recent versions of WordPress, and last but not least, that they have some sort of change log that can give you a timeline that shows that this is an active, robust thing. Right? This is something somebody created in their garage in 2003 and they kind of left it sitting out there. You definitely want to base any sort of core functionality of your site on a plugin.